at this absolute nonsense. When I was a kid, I did everything I could in order to get superpowers. Radiation exposure, chickenpox, spider bites. You can absolutely tell that the author of this comic does not have children or does not understand the human experience of being a child. They probably think it's like, okay, what do children want? Oh, to get superpowers. But unfortunately, when the child is at this age, they do not try to get spider bites. Like, they have the ability to be able to differentiate between real life and fiction, something that American leftists are incapable of doing, because whenever they see a sexy woman in a comic book, they believe that influences reality and causes rape culture. And then they have the audacity to lecture you about their bullshit ideology, so you believe their nonsense as well. But I digress. So, it turns out that this child, which is in dire need of psychological help, considering the fact that at this age, they are not only poisoning their body by getting radiation exposure, but they're also trying to get spider bites in order to get superpowers. Apparently, their mother is not there because she's busy doing activism and blaming misogynismus on the whole thing, right? Can I get a bakoe so I can find the magical amulet as soon as I get paid as much as your father? See, even in the world of comic book that leftists create, they purposely, right? They purposely subjugate the women. It's interesting, right? Like, you can't have sexy women in comic books because that influences reality and it normalizes the concept of oppressive beauty. But what you can do, however, is to normalize the fact that women are being subjugated by the patriarchy, which is not surprising given that Heather Antos, which now no longer works at Marvel, has said that she has been paid very little while having the unfortunate at working under the mouse. Haha. But I suppose, like, this is why the writer of the comic does understand the human experience. I mean, he works at a company that pays women poorly, so he can only create what he understands from his real life. Apparently, she goes on and says that she invented the laser helmet. Get back to your muffin project, right? Because again, like, this is the mentality from California, right? Like, progressives, left-wing people oppress women, and they assume that everyone must do it as well. Like, they can't just understand, no, it's just your little clique, your little niche. Like, your ideology is doing this. Like, other normal people do not. But they don't think that way, right? Like, they think, no, I'm a misogynist, so therefore everyone must be. So when I put it in my comic book, everyone relates. 57 x-rays. Right, now this is the thing that really annoys me when I see this type of progressive writing, that it doesn't make sense. Like, even within your lore, something should make sense so that the person can have immersion. And I know you say it's made for kids, but again, we have established that you do not understand how children work. Their minds develop at the level when they read the pretty pictures, they can at least understand certain things, and they cannot get immersed if the story doesn't make sense. But your ideology, in order to show the misogynismus, it's far more important than to actually create a believable story. How the fuck can she get 57 x-rays? What doctor would sign up on that? And assuming, like, she would pay for it herself, do you understand just how crippling expensive that would be? Like, none of this makes any sense, but, like, you're doing it not because you're trying to create a believable world, you're trying to create a believable story. You want to say, look how oppressed this poor little woman was. Oh, she did everything. She even invented a laser helmet. But the teacher, just wanted her to bake the muffins. Clearly unimpressed. Which begs the question, like, how many other children were just making these laser helmets to the point where the teacher is like, oh, just go make the muffins. Like, oh my god, like, I just had Tony Stark coming here a little bit earlier, and he made an entire suit. Your invention is absolute shit, right? But anyway, apparently, it's because there are no female superheroes, right? So they cherry pick all of these superheroes that are men, trying to say that, well, they had something that she didn't, and completely ignoring the X-Men, like Storm, like Kitty, and all the other, Jean Grey. And there are so many other superheroes. Like, why isn't Jean Grey here? Right? But okay, fine. My point is that this, again, lack of empathy. Like you cannot empathize with a superhero if he has a cock. right? Like what you need is for Captain America to identify as a woman so that this girl can say that she has everything in common with this superhero, because the moment the genders align, then you have the human connection. Like then you can say, oh wow, like Captain America is a superhero, he helps others. Oh, I can empathize with that. But if he has a cook, it's like I just can't see myself in Captain America. I do not understand what he is trying to accomplish. I do not understand what does it mean when he helps someone else, right? So like this is the bullshit of identity politics. Like the most moronic ideology ever created. You cannot identify yourself unless the genders align, unless the races come into alignment. Then okay, the empathy happens. I remember when I was a kid, we didn't have Marvel comics, we didn't have DC comics, we had anime, we had Sailor Moon. Do you know how many boys in the schoolyard were playing to be like Tsukina Usagi? And they were like, oh, so I'm Sailor Mars, I'm casting the fire ring. You know, like they did that shit, despite the fact that the genders weren't in alignment. It was that in Romania, after suffering from communism and socialism, where almost everything was banned, we finally got a breath of fresh air in entertainment, and it was like Tsukina Usagi was the only shit on TV for like 30 minutes a day on the only channel that was available, right? So everyone was LARPing as Sailor Moon. How did we manage? Are we superheroes? Were our empathy that strong? Maybe communism developed our empathy to the point where we could empathize with a character that was from a different gender. And race, by the way, because Tsukina Usagi was Japanese. Holy shit, like our empathy must have shocked the leftists. Like the people from California were looking at us like gods. It's like, how do you how can you empathize with someone that's of a different race and gender than you? We just don't understand. Like, how do you do it? But anyway, the interesting part is that you can see how selfish this child is. Like, she doesn't look at the superheroes and wants to be one like them in order to help other people. She just wants superpowers. That's it, right? Completely. And by the way, when I say this child, I do not mean the actual girl in the comic. I mean the person writing this comic, right? The writer. The whole idea of a superhero is not to have superpowers, right? It's to help others. My Hero Academia, the Chad diversity, the real diversity, the Japanese man, understands this. If you watch from the first episodes with Deku, he doesn't have superpowers, but the whole thing is that the moment he sees someone in danger, he throws himself in order to defend the person, and he knows he doesn't have superpowers, he knows he's going to lose, but he wants to protect someone else. And that is the essence of what it means to be a superhero. The fact that Japan understands what America created, because the whole concept of comic books comes from the United States, is an irony in and of itself. Like, the Americans now do not understand what it is to be a superhero. They just think, oh, it's to have superpowers and for the genders to align. Meanwhile, My Hero Academia understands it perfectly and even has like the story with Endeavor. Endeavor being an actual misogynistic person, you know, like a person that is abusive towards his family, and then has the redemption arc, because when he becomes the #1 hero and fulfills his dream, he realizes the responsibility he has. It's not a place of prestige, it's a place of great responsibility, because now you have to give your all in order to protect the innocent. And that is like such a powerful story, you know? This is why I say, when I see right-wingers dissing anime, I tell them to fuck off. I have learned more right-wing values, more conservative values by watching Naruto and by watching My Hero Academia than going to church. Okay? So maybe when you create your entertainment that's better than anime, I will watch that. Until then, I chose not to watch Netflix, Hollywood, or read any of this garbage, right? Instead, I'm watching anime. And of course, anime isn't perfect, you know, like they also have like various themes and stuff that I may disagree with, but it's much better than this shite. Let me know what you guys think, and as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.